These Jello shots have a huge upgrade in terms of the Jell-O and alcohol flavor pairing, but they also hide a very shocking surprise.
What?
They have a liquid cocktail center. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Still It, and honestly, this project almost broke me. I almost gave up on it. I think I made just about every mistake you could make, but the good news for you is I've made the mistakes so you don't have to, which means I can show you how to really impress and surprise your friends with these amazing Jello shots with liquid cocktail centers.
Yeah, that one is yummy. I really like the Absinthe one.
I've made 3 different delicious recipes that I'll show you how to make, but honestly, you could change this up and make whatever flavor combinations you want to. The first step in this process is to make the liquid cocktail centers that'll go inside the Jello shots. And to do that, we're going to utilize a technique called reverse spherification. I recently released a podcast with JJ Jackson, aka Moonshiner Joe, and he helped the crew of the Moonshiners TV show make shine pods with reverse spherification. He got the idea from the Glenlivet whiskey pods. I got the idea from him. If you're interested in seeing that podcast, link down in the description. But the general idea is that there's kind of like a jellyish film coating on the outside and alcohol goodness on the inside. Problem is there's 2 issues with these things. Number 1, if you don't nail what you put inside them and you don't nail the process totally, you end up with a pretty disgusting looking blob. Number 2, even if you do nail the recipe and the process, you do get the novelty of having a squishy little ball, putting it into your mouth, popping it and getting a delicious cocktail. The problem is, as soon as the cocktail's gone, you end up with kind of a snotty, jellyish membrane left over, which isn't so good.
You had to find a way to get past the texture of that membrane on the outside of the shine pod. And the way that I figured out how to get past it was to actually put something that was chewable inside of the pod itself.
That's where the idea of putting them inside a Jello shot came from. It'll fix both issues. So the first thing we need to do is make the Alginate Bath. This is going to react with the calcium we put in the cocktail a little bit later on to form that skin and hold the cocktail in. So 1 liter of water and 10 grams of the Sodium Alginate. I did try doing this with a whisk. Bad idea, takes forever. Use a handheld blitzer, it's gonna go so much better. Ideally, you're gonna want to use distilled water. If your water has too much calcium in it, it's just gonna react with the alginate right away and you're gonna make a big old bowl of snot. I got lucky, I guess. The groundwater here seems to be fine. I used filtered water from the tap, not an issue. But if you are having issues, try using a bottled water or distill your own. Make sure it is mixed thoroughly, no lumpy bits floating around. Cover it up and pop it into the fridge for at least 2 hours, ideally overnight. We want all of the bubbles to dissipate. They're gonna cause us issues if they're still in there, and we want the solution to thicken slightly. Time to make the first cocktail, which isn't even a cocktail. It's literally just 45 mils of absinthe and 60 mils of water. Proof down or looshed absinthe in the middle of a Jello shot. Sounds like a good time to me. Now we need to add the calcium into the cocktail so it will react with the Alginate Bath and create that skin. I screwed up and I used calcium chloride the first go round. And while it worked actually really freaking well, unfortunately, calcium chloride is going to add a strange minerally taste and a bunch of salt to the cocktail, which we do not want. Then I found out that calcium lactate will do pretty much the same thing without the salty minerally taste. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it in New Zealand. I looked high and low and eventually found a bottle of supplement pills. So crush that down, and you want 1% in terms of weight calcium to the liquid that you're making. So I crushed that down, added the calcium in, stirred it up, and it looked like crap. And that is because it turns out there's a whole bunch of filler in those calcium lactate pills. If you can get the good stuff, if you can get pure calcium lactate, you don't need to do this. Just add 1% of the calcium lactate powder by weight of the cocktail in, mix it up, and it should dissolve fine. You may need to heat it slightly. If you're dealing with these crappy pills, here's what you want to do. Bring 300 mils of water up to a boil, weigh out 20 grams of the pills, crush them down and add them into the pot, giving them a really good whisking. It's gonna take about 2 minutes, but what you're looking for is all the powder on the bottom of the pot to dissolve. Once that's dissolved, take it off the heat, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then strain it. I think most of the scum that's sitting on top is the oil and the fillers in the tablet. That is now our calcium lactate solution. Once again, team, if you've got the real stuff, you don't need to do this, and whenever you see us add that solution in, just substitute it for water. Both recipes will be in the description down below. So let's try this again. Once again, 45 mils of absinthe. This is at 65% ABV, just FYI. 30 mils of our calcium lactate solution and 30 mils of water. Now it's time to freeze our cocktail. And I did do a bit of testing on this as well. The issue is that obviously the higher the ABV of the cocktail, if it has sugar in it, the less likely it is to actually freeze. And we do need these things to freeze relatively solidly. So for me, with our standard fridge freezer, I could get to about 24% if there was no sugar, more like 20% if it had a little bit of sugar in it. Moving it over to the chest freezer gave me another 2 or 3% on both, so about 24 to 26% without sugar and about 22, 23% with sugar. General guidelines for your team if you're looking to try out different flavor combinations here. The loosed absinthe we just made is at 24%. That's not going to be an issue. There's no sugar in it. Now, initially I tried freezing these in standard ice cube trays and then cutting them with a knife. It did work, but the problem is if there is any like jagged edges on the side of the ice cubes, you're gonna end up making snot. But I found that the half sphere silicone ice trays, or often used for chocolate molds or confectionery purposes, those are absolutely perfect for this. So get the absinthe into those and into the freezer. You want at least 4 or 5 hours for this, ideally overnight. Pull the Alginate Bath out of the fridge, pop it into the microwave and gently heat it to 35 degrees Celsius. That in freedom units. Pull the ice cocktail spheres, not cubes, out of the freezer and gently place them into the alginate solution. Wait until they're completely melted and you can see right through them easily. Gently pull them out of the alginate solution into a water bath to get rid of any of the excess solution we don't want. And then for now, you can just store them on a plate, gently. A few tips to save you a buttload of frustration with this process. Number one, like I said, you want a nice, smooth, even surface on the ice balls, little cubes, whatever it is you happen to be using. Number two, if those things float, if you pop them into the solution and they float to the top, gently spoon alginate solution over the top of them until they either sink or they're fully set. Because if you don't, they'll slowly melt on top and dissipate out over the surface. You'll end up with snot. Number three, you want to work carefully and methodically, but quickly. If the frozen cocktails start to melt and lose kind of the integrity of the surface, pop them back into the freezer and freeze them again, because you're going to have a bad time. You'll make snot. Number four, be careful of any of the pods that don't turn out as a perfect sphere. If they've got an irregular shape on the surface or like a little wispy tail, if that tail or that surface gets stuck in anything and pops, the whole thing will pop. It's not a solid tail, it's liquid with a gel around the outside. So be careful, you can still use them because no one will know exactly what they look like inside the Jello Shot. Just be careful with them. Number five, once these things are set, it's fine for them to kind of bump up against each other and touch each other. It's not a problem at all. They're actually relatively robust, but while they're in the bath, don't let them touch, because if they do, and they do so for any length of time, they'll stick together and you're gonna pop at least one of those spheres trying to get them apart. Not a good time. Snot. And finally, number 6, I would suggest using smaller batches of the alginate. So make a big batch up, I mean, heck, make 2 or 3 litres if you really want to. And then tip a small part out into a bowl, work in that bowl, and then when you inevitably, pop 1 in 10 or whatever it is that you're gonna pop, you can move that aside, get some fresh stuff out, and start again. You can sieve the alginate solution as well if you want to. So these shine pods, cocktail pods, whiskey pods, whatever you want to call them, really are kind of fun and novel in their own way, and you can put whatever you want in them. Play around with whatever flavor combination you want, as long as you can freeze it and put the calcium into it, you're good to go. Tasty and fun, but yeah, there's that snot thing again. Yuck. Time for the jelly part of the Jello shot, and we want a boozy jelly. But it does seem that adding booze into the jelly kind of reduces its ability to set properly, and because we're going to serve these out of their mold, we want them to set properly. Here's my formula to making just about any Jell-O work with this. Everything I've tried so far has worked. Check the instructions on the back of the jelly. Find the total amount of water it uses, reduce that by about 10 to 15%, and then split that remaining amount in 2. 1 part water, 1 part booze. So for this recipe, we're going to be using a Feijoa jelly. Feijoa jelly and absinthe. Damn, that sounds pretty damn good to me. This video isn't sponsored at all, which means all of the work that went into it was supported entirely by you guys. So thank you so much for that. If you're enjoying these videos and you want to get involved to help support, there's a couple of things you can do, and some of them are free. First of all, you can go to chasethecraft.com. We're doing our very best to fill that site out with more and more distilling and alcohol-related supplies, so check that out. You can also go to Patreon and sign up if you so desire. The little clip of Erin tasting the Jello shots at the beginning, that was behind-the-scenes content from Patreon. It fits so well in this video that I kind of pinched it and put it in. And lastly, I get it. If you don't want to throw money at us, completely understand that. I get the way the world is right now. But what you can do is make sure to drop a comment in the comment section down below and share this video around. That's totally free. And of course, like always, a giant, huge thank you to the Patreons. We appreciate it, team. The jelly packet calls for 450 mils of water, so we're going to knock that back down to 400 mils in total. So add 200 mils of boiling water into a bowl, sprinkle the Jell-O over the top and mix. Let it cool for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to add 200 mils of homemade Cointreau. Give it another stir and set it aside. You may notice I said homemade booze. All of the booze made in this video has been made right here in this shed. If you're interested in checking out those recipes, once again, I'll put links for all of them in the description down below. Grab your shot glasses. I'm using these little plastic ones because you can kind of manipulate them, and it's going to make it a little easier to turn the Jello shots out later on. Give them a wipe down with a neutral oil, making sure to cover the whole glass. Half fill them with the jelly solution and gently place the shine pod, the cocktail pod, into the jelly. Pop those into the freezer for about 10 minutes to semi-set. Now we could just set them totally like this, but you'll notice that the pods tend to float to the top, and when you turn them out onto the plate, it seems like the chances of those little cocktail pods getting popped are much higher. So we're going to pop them into the freezer for 10 minutes, let it semi-set, pull them back out again and top them up with the remaining Jell-O liquid. Back into the fridge, 24 hours is best, and then we're ready to serve them. Let's make the other 2 recipes as well, shall we? Grab a small pot and add 22 mils of cream plus 30 mils of our calcium solution. Once again, if you have the good stuff, just add water and the powder, it's fine. As well as 10 grams of honey and the rind or the peel of 1 lime. Heat it up until it is getting pretty hot, about 85 degrees Celsius, but definitely not boiling, until the honey is totally melted, and then set it aside for another 15 minutes to infuse. When it's cooled down, add 45 mils of gin. I'm using the passion fruit cheesecake gin I made a little while ago, and this, for reference, is at 45% ABV. Freeze the cocktail, make the cocktail pods, and for the jelly on this recipe, we're going to be using an apple elderflower jelly, and to that, we're going to be adding an apple brandy that's been aging for about, I think, 3 or 4 months at the moment. Half fill the shot glass, add the cocktail pod, let it set for 10 minutes in the freezer, top it up with more of the jelly solution, and let it set overnight. The last recipe, you're going to need 45 mils of rum. I'm using a brown aged rum that is quite heavy on the ester side of things. It's the pirate rum I made ages ago. You're also going to add 5 mils of maple syrup, 5 mils of lime juice, and a couple of dashes of bitters, along with 30 mils of our calcium solution. We're going classic with the Jell-O flavour on this one, strawberry Jell-O, 200 mils of water, and 200 mils of hibiscus spirit, which kind of tastes in between roses and strawberries. Absolutely delicious, especially with the strawberry jelly. We've got the 3 recipes made and setting up in the fridge. To turn these out nicely and plate them up, you're going to want to make a water bath to about 45 degrees Celsius. Place the Jello shots in the water bath, making sure not to flood the shot glasses. Leave them there for about 20 seconds and tip them over onto a plate. Gently squeeze and manipulate the plastic shot glass while tapping gently on the plate. If you don't see the jelly disconnecting from the side of the shot glass at all, pop it back into the water bath for another 10 seconds. Rinse and repeat until you get them out. You may end up with a slight amount of melted jelly coming out of the shot glass as well if you left it in the water bath a little too long. To get around that, all you need to do is turn it out onto one plate and then transfer it to the plate that you're actually presenting it on. I didn't realize it when I bought this jelly, but apparently it comes with freeze-dried raspberry garnish. Whoops. So I may as well use that and flash the other 2 up a little as well. The strawberry hibiscus one is going to get a little mint leaf. That's too big, it looks ridiculous. Let's go with a smaller one. And for the Feijoa, the green Jell-O, we're gonna go with a very thin slither of lemon rind. I'll be honest with you, team, I'm slightly surprised that I've got to this point after everything that I've gone through on this little mission. Super freaking stoked to see them sitting like this. Unfortunately, it is the hottest day we've had in ages here, it would be, and these things are gonna start melting real quick. So I'm gonna get stuck into this. Let me eat the meltiest one first. I've only plated up 3 of them. I got a bunch more in the fridge for crispy B-roll for you guys, but let's have a taste. Oh yeah, I need to eat this so quick. We're onto something here, team. That was freaking awesome. The brandy, apple, elderflower, delicious together. A little bit of oak influence coming through. Really, really good. And when you do finally pop the bubble in the middle, boom, you get hit with the totally different flavor. Which one are we going for here? I have to do the absinthe. I have to do the absinthe one because, you know, absinthe. That is even better, holy crap. Okay, so that Feijoa jelly is legitimately actually delicious. I can't find the packet. I don't think I put it on camera. I'll put a thingy up here. That is wow, that was really delicious. The jelly and the orange are delicious together. As soon as the absinthe ball pops, all you can taste is absinthe. But as the absinthe fades, the flavor that lingers, funnily enough, is the Feijoa. That was cool. That was really cool. Oh, I've just realized too, I didn't even notice the little jelly snot bubble in either of those. So we've successfully hidden it in the jelly. I like that. All right, strawberry hibiscus jelly with rum, bitters, lime, and what do we sweeten it with? Maple syrup, that's right. All right, let's get stuck in. This one's good. It's yum. Slight downfall to it. There is less of a juxtaposition between the pop flavor and the jelly flavor. So really nice. The hibiscus and the strawberry go super well together. And I mean, obviously, like pirate rum, maple syrup, and lime is just going to be delicious together. But those two flavors are a little bit close together, I think. Like, it's hard to differentiate the two from each other. Which is my favorite? Honestly, I don't know, man. My favorite jelly was the apple brandy with apple and elderflower jelly. Absolutely delicious by itself. And funnily enough, I think my favorite like burst flavor, liquid flavor, was also the cream, honey, lime, and cheesecake gin. But in terms of like juxtaposition against each other and the change in experience as you're eating it, the Cointreau, homemade Cointreau with Feijoa jelly and the absinthe on the middle, ooh, that was so freaking good. So team, obviously this is a bit of a pain in the ass. I hope what I've done is made all of the mistakes that you can make so you guys don't have to. And if you have any good ideas on flavor combinations, both for jelly flavor and booze flavor for Jello shots, and for the flavor burst in the middle, combinations of, just give me your ideas, man. Let me know what you think. Oh, and by the way, I had some jelly left over, so check out what I did with that. All three together. I should say too, team, that if you're looking for like sugary, sweet, you don't even know there's booze in it, Jello shots, this ain't the recipe for you. This tastes and drinks more like an old fashioned or a martini, something like that. You definitely know there's booze in it. And after eating, what, 4 or 5 of these now, I'm starting to feel it a little. But I don't know, man. I can't decide whether all 3 of these jellies together is gonna be delicious or just strange. A little on the strange side. Mostly I can taste Feijoa jelly, most of what I can get, with a little bit of the kind of sweetness from the strawberry coming through. Not bad. I'll catch you next time, guys. Keep chasing the craft. See ya. Okay, I just ate 3 of these and they're freaking amazing. This video isn't sponsored at all, which means all of the work that went into it was supported entirely by you guys. So thank you so much for that. If you're enjoying these videos and you want to get involved to help support, there's a couple of things you can do, and some of them are free. First of all, you can go to chasethecraft.com. We're doing our very best to fill that site out with more and more distilling and alcohol-related supplies, so check that out. You can also go to Patreon and sign up if you so desire. The little clip of Erin tasting the Jello shots at the beginning, that was behind-the-scenes content from Patreon. It fits so well in this video that I kind of pinched it and put it in. And lastly, I get it. If you don't want to throw money at us, completely understand that. I get the way the world is right now. But what you can do is make sure to drop a comment in the comment section down below and share this video around. That's totally free. And of course, like always, a giant, huge, huge thank you to the Patreons. We appreciate it, team.